Hello and welcome to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. I am your host, Matthew Kabumas Loomis. Here on the Blog Chronicles podcast, we talk with world-renowned bloggers living their dreams and mid-tiered bloggers chasing their dreams. What we do is dive deep into the guest's personal story or we talk about their expertise and find out some things that they know that can help bloggers like you be more successful. Before we begin, let me point out that the Blog Chronicles is sponsored by BuildYourOwnBlog.net, the full-service destination for people who want to start their own WordPress blog and achieve long-term success. Visit BuildYourOwnBlog.net to start your new blog today. All right, so who's going to be our guest today? On this episode, we are bringing back one of the best travel bloggers on the internet. I had this guy on a couple of years ago, and he was rocking his website back then. And today, his blog audience is even bigger. He's grown even more as a blogger. He's using Facebook to connect with his audience. He's doing daily live videos. And once you hear his story and find out some of the things that he's doing to grow this audience of his, you'll see why I now refer to him as the most interesting travel blogger on the internet. So let's get to it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with blogger Ryan Biddulph from bloggingfromparadise.com. Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the show.
Matthew, thanks so much for having me, buddy. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sirree. We were just talking before we officially started here. It's been a couple years, and let's go right into our questions here today. First of all, Ryan, your blog is called bloggingfromparadise.com. So I want to start here by finding out where you are right now. What paradise are you blogging from today?
I am in the beautiful seaside town of Apotiki, New Zealand, which is right on the South Pacific and well off the tourist path in the Shire. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so in the Shires of New Zealand. So it's pretty cool spot.
Wow, it's amazing. Skype is amazing because you sound like you're next door to me right now.
I know. And technology, it's so, sometimes we demonize it, and then when you think about, we sound like, exactly, next door is so close, and I'm 16 hours ahead of you right now.
So it's in early morning there?
Yes, yeah, it's just early morning, the sun's rising over the lovely South Pacific, and we're just diving into our day. So it's pretty crazy. We were about at 17, I think, before we had daylight savings. One of the few countries, at least as far as I know, that does it other than the U.S. Maybe more countries do, but I found that pretty neat.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. That is very interesting.
Farming country, I think. I think that's a big, probably, driver behind it because there are more cows and sheep, I think both, collectively, or not collectively, I think both individually, than people in New Zealand. So I kind of get the feel that could be one of the drivers.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it just looks like it's such a beautiful country. I mean, it must be incredible,
Stunning.
Huh? Yeah.
Stunning. Yeah, I think it's the commitment to keeping it clean and pristine, which is so big, and then it offers so much as far as the range. You have the mountains, the emerald green, like, say, Ireland, then you have the turquoise South Pacific, like a Fiji or Tahiti,
Wow.
and then you have the southern Alps. Yeah, it's crazy as far as the range, Matthew. It does remind me in some regards of the U.S. in that you have so much going on, except this place is so much smaller, which makes it more crazy.
Yeah, that is weird. I mean, it's not even as big as California, right?
No, I don't think it's, yeah, it's like 4 million people, and it's really not that far spread out. So when you look at the range of just landscapes, I'm still stunned. We actually just got a house we're in the North Island now. There's two islands, North Island and South Island. And the North Island has just blown me away, and we just got a house sit in the South Island, and that's where they filmed most of the Lord of the Rings. And when you look at these backgrounds and you think it's CGI, it's not. It's like these places really exist on planet Earth. So that's going to be kind of wild to see down there. And I mean, up here has been absolutely amazing. So yeah, it's a special place, and it goes to show you, I mean, blogging and doing things the right way with the right energy, it could open you up to just so many amazing opportunities and experiences you'd never even think you could live before you dive into this game, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan is a travel blogger, for those of you that have not yet met him, and we're going to get into his personal story here in a second. Ryan, so while we're on the topic of New Zealand, like what's one thing that you've noticed there, maybe a custom or something about their culture that's very interesting to you?
Well, one of the things, Matthew, I think would be the Maori culture, I should say. They were originally from Polynesia,
Uh-huh.
and they are the native New Zealanders, if you will. They founded the country from a human perspective.
Yeah.
But I think just learning more about their culture and their influence on New Zealand and their presence, and I think it's pretty cool too. We're located by one of the Maori strongholds in the entire nation, which is really neat. Like
Hmm.
south of us, the next grocery store is about 200 miles, like proper grocery store. You might have your general stores and little things here and there, but we went for a ride into Maori country, and it's technically, legally, undiscovered or un I guess, not regulated by government. I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's like kind of like
Uh-huh.
wild territory. So it's really, really neat to kind of go through there and realize, the Maori, they have their own, tribal police, and it's their game. They're technically part of New Zealand, but they have their own gig. So I guess that would be pretty interesting to be right by some area. We really landed a neat sit to be by the by that heavy Maori presence and just learning how much they've done here and how much influence they have on the country. And I never was really aware of it other than the famed haka. Some of us in the West might know from seeing the All Blacks New Zealand rugby team where they do that war dance or that tribal dance. It's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Haka, guys, on Google. Look it up.
Okay. Man, your life is just so interesting as a travel blogger. I've been following you now for several years, and I'm just amazed at all the different places that you get to spend time in and the things that you get to see, and then you blog about it. Um, you blog about it over at Paradise, bloggingfromparadise.com. And so where are you going to go next as a travel blogger? Do you know yet?
Right now, we're going to be in New Zealand for 2 more months. We did a house sit here for, it's going to
Wow.
be wrapping up in a week and a half. It's been so fast. Then we'll go to the South Island for 2, 3 weeks, and then back up to the North Island for another house sit on the Tasman Sea on the other side of the country. Then after that, I think we're going to be heading home for a bit, spend some time with the fam,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll see from there. We've really been pulled in a lot of places, Matthew, by house sits
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a cool way to see parts of the world I wouldn't have planned. Like last year, we did a house sit in Qatar, which is the
Uh-huh.
world's wealthiest country in the Middle East, and I'd never think, oh, let me go to Doha, Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Yeah.
say Qatar in America, we say that, but it's actually Qatar, like the Arabic pronunciation. But Cyprus, when we had a chat a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
these are places I never really think of. So we're kind of pulled by those places, but then we also do our faves like Thailand and Bali. We were in Thailand for about 2 months before this sit. So yeah, back to the States, back home for a bit, and then we'll see from there wherever we're pulled.
All right. Yeah. We're going to get into your personal story and your setup here a little bit. Let's go ahead and start there. I'd like to review your personal story. Basically, can you share how you were working as a security guard, right? And
Yes.
then you somehow got interested in blogging, and then you eventually transitioned into a full-time blogger. Can you flesh that story out for us and tell us how that happened?
Sure thing, sure thing. Well, for starters, I had a wonderful stroke of luck, I suppose, in that I was fired. I received the pink slip. Yeah, we were downsized. That was a
Mm,
shipping terminal in New Jersey. It was an okay job. I was very grateful for it. I am, no matter how rough things are, grateful for all my experiences. They kind of made me who I am today.
mhm,
But I was downsized, and my then girlfriend, now wife Kelly, told me about the online bit, and it was something that was so alien to me because I
mm,
just worked offline jobs. I'd done the 9 to 5. I did the down the docks, as they say in northern New Jersey, down the frickin' docks in northern New Jersey. And she's like, why don't you, give this a shot? So I had that attitude. Let me give this a shot, which of course is not the best energy to join, to engage in any venture. But I struggled for a while, but I got my domain and hosting, which is really the most important step you'll ever take in the beginning. It's the most empowering step. And I fumbled around a little bit, and I kind of did like a make money online blog. And I had some success to where I built it up. But then over time, seeing blogs like yours and like my friend Donna Merrill at Donna Merrill Tribe, or even my friend Alonzo Pichardo, alonzopichardo.com, these guys, they're such great leaders, and that's why I mention them. And you as well, of course. I learned it's all about creating helpful content and building connections with leaders from a genuine space where you're really befriending people. And slowly but surely, I'd struggled with my old blog, but I made some income, made a little bit more. And then a number of years in, after some big time struggles and some success, my wife's like, let's go to Southeast Asia. Let's see Bali. And I hadn't taken a vacation, Matthew, in like 24 years. And it was just, I'd never traveled. I'd never been on a plane. So my parents are like, maybe you want to take a flight from like Newark to Philly instead of from JFK to Bali. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to dive right in. And when I did that, something really beautiful happened. Uh-oh, crazy dog barking. Something really beautiful happened. I just fell in love with travel, and my blog really began to take off. And then from there, everything expanded, and slowly over time, I built it to where I'm at today, where I've retired to a life of island hopping through smart blogging, and I inspire folks to do the same.
I know that, whenever you're not traveling around the world, I think your home base is in New Jersey, right?
Yes.
Okay. I take it you have family there. I think you mentioned that.
Yes.
So I'm curious, what do your parents think about this lifestyle and that you and your wife live?
They enjoy it because they live vicariously through me. Initially, they were like, that's interesting, because they really hadn't traveled much, and they kind of had a view of certain places since they really hadn't hit the road, where they were like, I'm not quite sure, what you're doing or why you're doing it, but they find it kind of fascinating. But even though they don't have any desire to travel much from where they're at, they really love the pictures. They love the experiences, and they find it fascinating because, again, they just know they love where they're at and they're enjoying it. But I think a lot of my readers, as many that are doing the travel blogging bit or an aspiring travel bloggers or just aspiring pro bloggers, or if they're doing it part-time, they love the selfies. They love the experiences because they get to live vicariously through me. And I think that's one of the cool things about what I'm doing. I'm inspiring folks who maybe are a little scared to hit the road, but definitely want to do it, to give them that nudge. And then other folks, I'm giving them that experience that maybe they'll never have in person, but it's good enough just to see me do a Facebook Live video from here in Apatiki or from Bali or Fiji, or just to see a selfie, or to share some of the wilder things that, for some reason, I seem to be a magnet to this stuff. I think because I've been on the road for so long, that people find kind of entertaining, and I'll be the guinea pig. I have no problems with it.
Yeah, you're good at it, man. And I can identify with your parents because I live vicariously through you. So, I just really enjoy following you and, checking out what you're doing and the things that you're seeing. It's just so incredibly fascinating. Ryan, let's go ahead and kind of transition now into the practical side of blogging. I've got some questions for you about that. Now, I follow your blog, and I know that you also do regular guest posts for buildyourownblog.net, so I get to read a lot of your stuff. And I've noticed you primarily focus on what we might call mindset-type posts. Maybe you have a better name for it, but what I mean is you write a lot about blogging mindsets and attitudes, and also sometimes you talk about blogging relationships. But on the other hand, I almost never see you writing about topics like, how to install AdSense onto your blog, or 8 ways to get better email marketing results, things like that. So I'm just curious, did you determine that your audience doesn't really want that type of content from you, or is there another reason why you don't do those more how-to type blog posts? I'm just curious. Do you consider mindset blogging? Is this your strong suit?
Definitely, Matthew. And it's such a good question because we think, okay, we're going to move into practical action eventually to manifest the success, to live the life, to help folks. And that's important. And I do put some content out there in that vein through my ebooks and my posts. But the one stat, and I don't know if it still holds true, it probably does, but a number of years ago, I had read that I think it's 81% of bloggers never make more than $100, USD during their entire blogging careers. And I'm like, something's going wrong somewhere because there are so many helpful practical tips. Why aren't people using them? Why are they ignoring them? Why aren't they following them? And then over time, just through an intuitive nudge, and I really enjoy writing about the mindset stuff, I'm like, oh, I get it. Their mindset's not there. Their energy's not there. They're just, it's almost like giving my 2-year-old niece the keys to a Ferrari and just saying, well, drive the thing. All you have to do is put your foot. And she's just like, she might drool on it, or, maybe at this point not drool on it. Maybe when she was 1, she'd drool on it, but kind of stare at it and throw it around and maybe put it in the door to the house because she knows enough and she's a smart little whip. But then it's like, why aren't these bloggers using these practical tips, and they're ignoring them? And I hope they're not drooling on them, but it's one of those things where I'm like, let me get into the mindset stuff and share what I struggled like hell with, for so long, and then how I overcame these tendencies, these fears, so I could blog more from love and fun. And then, too, I found out when you get rid of the fear and you get your mind right and you're tackling these limiting beliefs and you're embracing them, then the practical tips come to you. You get this idea, let me Google blogging, and then you'll see buildyourownblog.net. And they'll come across all those rocking practical tips that you share. Or maybe they'll come to my blog and they'll be looking through, or they'll go to my ebooks page and they'll say, oh, okay, these tips for finding guest posts on top blogs. And it's like the teacher's always there, like the saying, but you got to be ready for them. And when you open up and you clear out the fear and you're doing the mindset and energy work, you're going to embrace some really unpleasant feelings. But, through my posts and a lot of the stuff I share, like on your blog and on my blog and other places where I'm guest posting, you find and embrace and use the practical tips. And then you're doing it with the right energy. And you're like, oh, this actually is getting easier and easier instead of harder and harder. It's because you did the inner work, as within, so without. So you did the inner work, and then the outside stuff became easier. So really, that's the prime driver. And the fact, too, that I really enjoy writing about this, and my readers are like, hey, keep doing it, man, because they're gaining a lot of inspiration from my mindset. And that's what they really are. They're mindset blogging posts.
Yeah, and I like it a lot. I and that's one reason why I like having you on my blog on a regular basis, because I do a lot of how-to posts. So, your blog posts are a nice mix, and I just enjoy that. So, Ryan, are you still excited about the prospects of starting a blog today, and what that can do for people, both financially and emotionally? Are you as excited today as you were years ago?
Yeah, more than ever, Matthew. I think it's starting to be universally accepted, whereas in the past, I think people were really trying to hack systems and social media and Instagram. I mean, years ago with really black hat tactics. But then over the years, they were trying to build so much. I call it cyber squatting, because unless we own our domain and hosting, we're at other people's mercy. And you see it all the time. I know you've seen it many, many times with Facebook and Instagram, and all these people build up so much real estate through any other site other than their self-hosted WordPress blog, and it burns them eventually because they're not setting the policy. They're not in charge. But I'm just so excited about going through your own blog and building your brand and creating the value. It's like you become the CEO of your life. And there's no greater feeling when you're like, this is my blog. I could help people through it. I could brand myself through it. And like you said, emotionally and financially, it's so fulfilling. And that's what we'll be focusing on first, really following your passion. And you could do that, with reckless abandon through your blog. But then when you're doing it with that right energy through a self-hosted WordPress blog, which is really the only way to go if you really want to do this right, then over time and with patience and creating helpful content and building meaningful, authentic connections with other bloggers in your niche, the financial benefits will arise too. And you'll start making maybe a trickle in the beginning, and then over time a little bit more. And then you see how it works for all these folks who do it full time. If you'll just see it through and create and connect, and you're going to deal with your fears, and then you're going to do more from love, and then be like, oh no, nothing's really happening, but it's always happening in the background. Then you'll be able to build it into something, if you really want to, that's full time, where you could be like, I want to chill in my hometown and I love it, or I want to circle the globe and see the world and just experience that lifestyle. And having your own self-hosted blog, it makes it so much easier.
I couldn't agree with you more. From your experience, Ryan, what are the 3 traits that you would say are the most important traits for a person to have if they want to be successful at blogging?
I think being incredibly passionate is one trait, because the passion is the fuel. It's the driver. It's almost like a domino effect. When you have the passion, you'll win, because it will knock over all the other qualities, traits. It's the fuel. It makes the work the fun. It makes it play. It makes it the basis, and everything else is like an extra or a bonus. So number 1, I'd say passion. Number 2 would be generosity, and that means being a generous blogger. You want to help people without looking for anything in return, without expecting anything. That's the juice that makes you really attractive, because when you're not giving conditionally, and of course there's a little part of us, we want to live the life and we want the money, but if you can make it mostly about serving, you're going to gain people's trust really quickly. You're going to become credible really quickly. And not only that, you're going to detach from the outcomes that trip up so many bloggers, and myself included for so long, where I was basing everything on how much I was making or what I was getting. When you switch it around and you're being really generous, and you'll be more and more generous, and you make it about following your passion blogging-wise, a niche you really love, and then tying it to solving some problem, you'll appear to be all over the place because you're not being burdened by outcomes. So you won't think, oh, I've done so much and enough, and I'm not getting enough out of it. You'll keep being generous, so you'll appear to be all over in your niche. And then the third quality is just persistence. And again, when you have the passion and that's fueling you, that'll pull you through everything. And then the generosity, you're not worried about the outcomes. The persistence is going to happen really naturally. So you'll keep at it. And some folks, Ryan, you've been at it for so many years. How do you rate 3, 4, 5 posts a day? And I'm just like, I love what I do, and I'm not worried about the outcome. So of course you're going to do that. It's just not an issue. It becomes routine, like brushing my teeth, like writing a post. For me, I've done it so habitually because I love it. It's like getting up and having a glass of water. It's a very, very, habitual thing. And that's where the persistence comes in, where you're just doing it and you're doing it and you're doing it, day after day, 5 days a week, 6 or 7, not from some place of desperation and strain, but just from a place of love and generosity and heart-centered blogging. And then the persistent folks who are passionate and generous, forget about it. Those are the folks that just, they dominate. They're everywhere and you can't escape them, but they're not trying to do that. They're doing it because they love what they do and they love helping people, and it happens very naturally.
I heard a little bit of your New Jersey come out there. Forget about it.
Yeah, exactly. It does occasionally, no matter where I am in the world, and it's also sometimes reflected back to me, I think, when I joke around with locals, and I'm like, just when I say ball or dog or coffee, then it's over. Then they'll know where I'm from.
Yeah, man. That was, when you said dog, it was loud and clear. That's cool. I love it. I love accents. I really do.
Yeah, me too. It's so fun. Oh, here in New Zealand too, it's the Kiwi accent and the Aussie accent. You have a lot of Aussies. Between the accents, Matthew, and then the sayings, it's hysterical. So fun.
Some people, maybe I sound like I'm a Southerner to you. I don't know. Missouris can sound that way, although I tend to not sound like a lot of the folks around here. Yeah, how do I sound to you?
It sounds a little bit, I catch it a little bit, but I could tell it's more not like intentionally measured, but I think you just have that demeanor, and with your professional background and your overall energy, I really can't hear it. But I actually had neighbors, I forget from where, they moved to northern New Jersey they were there for about 10 years, and they moved directly from Missouri, and they'd lived there their whole lives. And you could tell. You could tell not only that they weren't from northern New Jersey, from outside the city, from outside New York, where we have that kind of accent. And yeah, you could hear it it was a heavy, heavy accent. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I get it a little bit, but really barely. Really barely.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard other people say that. In fact, one lady from India who got to know me over time, she said I sounded like I was from England. I don't know. I don't know how she heard that.
It's proper. You have proper, I could see why she'd say that, Matthew, because you have a very proper, it's not measured. I'm saying measured, but just from the aspect that everything flows. You remind me of like a professional speaker, professionally trained. It really does. But the thing is, it's natural. it's not, when I say measured, or it's not anything where you're doing it
Yeah.
other than you being you. So I could see why she'd say that. It's very formal. And
Yeah.
I think that's why you're such a good interviewer, and you just have that really generous, calm, peaceful energy, and you allow everything to flow. So that's why I love doing our chats. It's so much fun.
Yeah, man. I just love your whole outlook with energy, and maybe I'll ask you about that here in a second. But first I want to talk a little bit about your prolificness. Now, you were talking about how much you write blog posts, and that is so true. You're very prolific as a blog post writer, but you're also very prolific when it comes to blog commenting. And I read a lot of, like how-to blogs and digital marketing blogs, and I'm no longer surprised to see you in the comments when I go to these different blogs. I'm just like, yep, there's Ryan again. Um,
Like a bad cold or crab grass. I just don't go away.
No. You're just amazing. You're like everywhere. I mean, everywhere I go, there's Ryan in the comments. And I'm just wondering, why do you put so much energy into blog commenting? Because, I think this is going to be an important answer to the new bloggers that are listening out there.
Perfect, Matthew. That's one thing I'm so glad you stressed, and new bloggers listening.
Mm-hmm.
I put so much energy because there's so few barriers to entry.
Mm-hmm.
There's so few barriers to being seen. If you stay out of a spam folder as a newbie blogger or a struggling veteran or a seasoned veteran, you could appear and make an impact and build friendships and drive traffic and expand your presence virtually at any blog on earth where comments are open. And again, avoiding the spam folder, that's why you want to personalize the comment and sign off with your name and be genuine and make it about building a relationship. But you could be on any blog in the world in the comments section. And I think so many people overlook this fact, especially new bloggers. They have a lot of fears. So I just put so much attention and energy into it because I'm thinking years ago when I had no idea what I was doing, I hadn't built the relationships yet, so I hadn't built my skills yet, so guest posting wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And this happens over time. But I'm like, I could leave a comment on any blog in the world, and people, not only do they read them, and not only do bloggers read them, they will open doors for you that you never envisioned, and especially as a newbie, because I think we have so many mental blocks, and we know it's going to take a while to get. So I really think it's just one of those deals where you get so much exposure, you could build so many strong bonds, and that's what blog commenting is really about. It's adding the value, being genuine, and forming friendships with top bloggers. And I think about, commenting on your blog and reading your posts and how that opened opportunities up. And I got a guest posting gig at Blogging Tips with Zach Johnson, who's one of the top bloggers in our niche in the world. Mm-hmm. And it's like, he said it. He's like, you left comments on my blog that were thoughtful, and you shared my post. And I mean, Eileen Smith at her blog, and it's across the board. And I'm like, how did these opportunities arise? Blogging Pro, a lot of these top blogs in our niche, and commenting and promoting and being genuine. So I think more than anything, it's this idea that we could just really make these impacts and just expand our brand awareness and help people and build friendships and share value with, like, literally, if you stay out of the spam folder, there'll be no barriers to you appearing. Whereas with guest posting and other strategies, it's going to take a while. You're going to have to really earn people's trust. So that's where I see it as. It's just phenomenal for newbie bloggers to struggling veterans to anybody, established pros, to build those bonds.
And you do tend to get some traffic too, right? From comments when you leave quality comments, interesting, good comments, or you ask good questions. I mean, people will check you out, right?
They certainly will. It happens on two levels. It's they'll check you out. So you'll get that initial click, which is awesome. That's like the short-term benefit, and people will click. Yeah, they'll click through, and they'll tell me in comments on my blog or send me emails. I read your comment here, so that's awesome. The even more powerful benefit, which is down the road, is you begin to make inroads with top bloggers as far as impressing them, popping up on their radars, and friendships develop. And then from those friendships, and as you're improving your writing skills, writing 500 or 1,000 words a day in a Word document, any topic, it could be on your blog, but just getting comfortable and then trashing the document, attachment, very big for developing your writing skills. Then you're going to start getting guest post invites and interview requests, and you'll be featured on people's podcasts. And that's where you see like the long-term, like immensely powerful, brand building, traffic building benefits that flow out of blog commenting. So you have the initial clicks, which is awesome, and then you have that long-term, like really steady, ever-growing traffic through the bonds you create, where people who you commented on their blog, you form these friendships with these top bloggers, and guest posting opportunities, podcasts, and all types of sweet.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I wish more new bloggers would listen to this and give it a shot. Check it out. Leave some blog comments, and see what happens, right? So, okay, so we were talking about commenting, and we lost Ryan for a second. Ryan, you want to go ahead and continue with what you were saying about blog commenting?
Sure thing, Matthew. Yeah, it's such a phenomenal strategy for building connections with top bloggers, whether you're a newbie blogger, whether you are a seasoned veteran, whether you're a struggling veteran. There's just so few barriers to entry, save staying out of a spam folder. And I think that's the beauty of it. Anybody today can leave a genuine, authentic comment on a top blog, and they'll drive immediate short-term blog traffic, people interested in what you have to say, click on your link and visit your blog. And I see this a lot through the emails I get, and people comment on my blog. They say, hey, I found you through the comment you left on, whatever top blog I'm commenting on in my niche. But then beyond that, there's the long-term benefit of building strong, powerful bonds with pros who then ask you a week or a month or maybe 5 months down the road to guest post on their blog, or you could see possibly interview requests or podcast requests, and business partnerships. All these phenomenal long-term benefits flow out of the friendships you build through blog commenting. So there's really a short and a long-term, approach to it, short and long-term benefits that aid any blogger out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. And I wish more new bloggers would I don't know, get this message, because there's just so many benefits to leaving comments on other blogs. And you had said that you get some traffic, of course, but that's not really the ultimate goal. Like you said, it's more about developing those relationships and friendships and connections with other bloggers. So I'm talking to Ryan Biddulph. He is a prolific blogger. He's a prolific blog commenter, and he's also a prolific guest post writer. So when it comes to guest posts, Ryan, why do you do this? Is it a good source of new traffic for you, or is there another reason?
Really, I believe it's a great way for me to serve people across different platforms. And of course, there's leveraging there, so I gain traffic, ebook sales, new readers. That's sweet. I really enjoy those benefits. They're sugary sweet, like the lovely fruits here in New Zealand. But in the same regard, guest posting just gives me a platform to help folks build successful blogs in a bunch of different areas. So your blog, blogging tips, all these top blogging tips blogs, and then other blogs as well. I mean, I write some inspirational stuff, like when I appeared on Positively Positive with its gazillion reader membership. But it just gives me an opportunity to do what I love, which is to write, and then to keep reaching new readers from different audiences. And I receive a lot of benefits from it, for sure. But I think being prolific, I give very little attention to what I'm getting out of each guest post, and almost all of my attention to what I'm giving. And I think that's one of the reasons why on Blogging Tips alone, I think yesterday I wrote and published my 500, it's probably around my 550th guest post, and that's just one blog.
Wow.
And I think for a lot of bloggers that blows them away, but when you don't really give much thought to what you're getting, then everything just keeps growing and you keep writing and writing. So yeah, that's really the main reason why I do it. I have fun. It gives me a chance to help people, and it gives me different platforms, different audiences to help.
I didn't have this question pre-planned, but I'm gonna throw it in here because I think it'll be interesting. You talk a lot about having fun, not having pre-expectations or giving without expecting something in return. And you're talking about a person's whatever they do, right? They're using their own energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you talk a lot about energy, and so I know you could probably talk for 30 minutes or longer on this. So I'll try to, we could just do maybe like a very short version, just to touch on this for a little bit, because I think this could help new bloggers. So how can a person direct their energy in the right way to fruitful activities that are going to benefit or bless their blog? How does somebody do that? And instead of getting all excited at first, and then they hit a little obstacle, or nothing seems to be happening for a few weeks, and then they want to just quit, and then a lot of people do quit. Or if maybe it's 3 to 6 months down the road, they quit. What would you say to people to help them not have that happen to them?
The biggest thing, and this is tough, Matthew. I experienced it for very many years, but it's to do what you're doing blogging wise, mainly because you're following your passion,
Mm-hmm.
and because you love doing it, and not because you're following profits. Now, I don't have the stats, but probably 99% of people who get into blogging are doing it predominantly with the energy of, I want to get money out of this. And that's your death knell. You're dead. Because what happens is, the cycle is, you start blogging and you might see a little bit, you're excited about expressing yourself creatively, and then you get heavily attached to these outcomes. Then most people quit, or they give it a shot and they're like, nothing I'm doing is working. So they look outside, they choose to feel a certain way based on their results, based on their outcomes, which is a total wrong way to do it if you want to do this over the long term, if you want to raise your energy. So I would say the first thing would be, follow your passion, not your profits. Choose a niche you feel really passionate about, and you're doing it mainly because you enjoy exploring that topic and, say, solving a problem in that niche. That would be number one. But then in addition to that, I'm just such a big fan, Matthew, of like an energy ritual on waking, because most of us, we're just walking around life, and it's just life. It's, we're not Buddhist monks who are meditating and we're doing these things. We're living very outside in, especially in the Western world, but really all over the world. When you start your day, say, like I start my day with 20 minutes of meditation, then 40 minutes of yoga. I pray for about 5 to 10 minutes. And what I do is I read a line from a paragraph from a beautiful book called A Course in Miracles, and it's acim.org, and you'll find it on Amazon as well. And hey, independent of your beliefs, if you read the book, even a paragraph or two, you're going to be like, wait a second, this doesn't come from this world. This is not of this world. And everybody, it's opening up to it, but it's amazing. It's beyond words, the book. But by following this energy management ritual in the morning, or I just say an energy ritual, 2 things happen. Number one, you'll begin to feel and purge your fears. And this is unpleasant, but highly necessary, and really the step towards, liberation and freedom and fun and love. And number 2, you're going to start doing things blogging-wise and life-wise where you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to do that because it feels like it'd be fun, and I really don't care what I'm going to get out of it. Almost like a little kid. And that's the energy you begin to cultivate, where you don't find yourself getting stuck or wanting to quit, or feeling that you're a loser or a failure, or being so frustrated, or running into struggle after struggle. You begin to realize that all struggle really isn't there. It's an illusion. It's based in fear, which really isn't there. We experience fear. We see evidence of stuff that says you have to be afraid, you're running out. But it's an abundant universe, and whether you believe in a higher power or you're just, kind of going along and doing your thing, you start to see that it's all about having fun, being generous, being detached, and trusting. And then when you cultivate that energy and you blog from that energy for months and then years, then you won't care about the outcomes. And that's exactly when you start making a lot more money, and you get a lot more traffic, and you, again, cultivate this energy that you speak about. So really, that following your passion and getting into that energy management ritual every morning, whatever it is for you. I also exercise for an hour every day, but one of the tenets for me is meditation, and then I just suggest prayer. If you're not, faith or you don't really faith in a higher power, focus on the meditation because it's going to show you what's going on in your mind, and it could be sobering, but it's also liberating. So that's what I do, and I think a number of my readers too.
A few months ago, I was introduced to the Calm app. Have you heard of it?
I have actually, yes. I've never used it, but I have heard of it.
Yeah. I started using that, and it's just been very, very helpful for me. It's been really good. Of course, I do. I have my own faith, and I do prayer as well. But it's all about just focusing on the breath, and
it's weird, Matthew, that it's not weird. It's a truth, but when somebody's really upset and we're like, hey, just take a few breaths, calm down, breathe. When you focus on the breathing and the Calm app, meditation, even when you're walking, like a walking meditation,
mm-hmm.
you're going to come back to the moment. And in the moment, everything's okay. You could look around you and it could appear to be chaos, but everything's fine in the moment. Only struggle happens in time.
Yeah.
Time is where struggle happens. You're worried about the future. You're fretting about the past. In the moment, it's like, oh, and that's what you start to take with you with a little bit of prayer, with some meditation. You'll get there. The Calm app, whatever the vehicles are for you to be in the moment, and that's where the energy really pops, where you get really prolific and you get really detached, and you're in love with helping people, and you're not caring about the outcomes, and then the outcomes, they happen just nicely. They'll start piling up, but then you won't even care about them. You'll see them as extra or a bonus, and you'll be grateful, but you won't put your faith in them, and that's like, oh, what a weird feeling. I'm in more and more in that zone every day, and it's like, yeah, I've made money and but it's like, it's nice. But in the same regard, it's just such a little part of what I do and a little part of what I am energetically, because it's all about the service and the fun. And then that stuff does take care of itself over time.
I wanted to ask you if you've written an ebook specifically about energy, and then I was like, oh yeah, he needs to let everybody know about his over 100 ebooks you've got for sale on blogging.
Yeah, 126 on Amazon. They're all bite-sized, so they're in the short reads category. Some are like 15K words. I think maybe like 10, and then most are 6,000, which is, I think, perfect for a Kindle, because practical tip stuff, I don't want to give someone 400,000 words. So it's like, I've written about 5, and they're under the law of attraction, which I know some folks look at it and say, hey, what is that? And there's a lot of skepticism and just really false beliefs about the LOA. Really, the LOA it's an energy. It's just an energy thing. It's energy. It's like a basic principle. So any of my law of attraction ebooks, and they're on bloggingfromparadise.com /ebooks. I've listed them out by category. Really, any of those would help you raise your energy. I have some specifically for money, others for just energy management rituals, and others for energy vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we're compassionate and we see the pain in others, we understand that some folks, they're energy vampires. When you're in a discussion, you're in the room, it's like, oh no, this is not a pleasant experience. And obviously they're coming from fear and scarcity. So, I have compassion, but in the same regard, I have one book on that. So yeah, really any under the law of attraction category, bloggingfromparadise.com /ebooks. But I really delve into a lot of my ebooks, even my blogging ones, where I talk about following your passion and the energy aspect of it, because it's why we do what we do is basically where we choose to vibe at. And that's kind of one of the craziest things about this journey. When you raise the vibe and you purge the fear, look out in a good way.
Yeah, that's good stuff. For those listening, there is a link in the show notes to Ryan's Amazon author page and all of his ebooks if you're interested in browsing there. Aside from bloggingfromparadise.com, Ryan, where can people follow you on social media?
Sure. They could follow me on Twitter. It's actually Ryan Biddulph. That's my handle. On Facebook, I'm at Ryan K. Biddulph. And those are my 2 main social hubs. That's where I do most of my connecting and creating and sharing and all that good stuff. So you send me a message on either. I check my DMs on Twitter. I get quite a few, and a lot of them are spam, but I do check them. And that's actually the best way to reach me, because I have so many @replies every day. I can only respond to a few. So those are the 2 main areas there. I have a little podcast that I do here and there on SoundCloud and on iTunes. Then, of course, the ebooks on Amazon, but of course that's not a social. iTunes audiobooks. But really, those are the main spots, I'd say, Facebook and Twitter, as far as social.
He's Ryan Biddulph, blogging at bloggingfromparadise.com. Ryan, it's great having you on the show again. You're one of the best travel bloggers out there, and I hope we can do this again real soon.
Matthew, thanks so much for having me, buddy. Really appreciate it. And likewise, I'd love to do it down the road.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe on YouTube or iTunes and leave a rating or review to help other bloggers find us. If you want to chat, look me up on Twitter at Matt Loomis. So who's going to be featured on the next Blog Chronicles? He's a blogger, web developer, and WordPress expert from Australia. We'll find out how he started blogging and what he did to master his online business. Until then, keep on blogging.